Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
We're uptight, you're uptight, I'm uptight. We're all uptight. They're dropping like flies, Agar. They're dropping like flies.
This is episode 164, recorded May 25th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wondrous, groovy, gory, and influential decade. With me this week is my co-host, Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I am doing great.
Shucks. All right. Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and all-around nice guy.
Thank you.
I like the delay. It's awesome. All right.
You had to think about it for a little bit.
I know. It's like, well, okay. Joining us tonight is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of every Decades of Horror that we do, and occasionally on Heroes and Droids. How you doing, sir?
Good. I wanted my delay to be longer than.
Oh no, he's got delay envy. This is terrible. All right,
this is delay envy.
Delay envy.
Yeah.
What? Oh my gosh.
Better than premature envy. That's
Guilty. What we're going to do tonight is we're
Off
going
the rails
to-
quickly.
Yes, Invasion of the B-Girls. And what better film to go off the rails on than Invasion of the B-Girls from 1973? Oh, gosh, this is going to be a blast. We're going to dive into this one, that's for sure. And we hope you enjoy it. And not only this review, we hope you enjoy many of those we have on the site, because we do have others on the site. And we hope you like them. And if you do, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, share with a friend. All that good stuff, and it'll make us all very happy, won't it, Chad, sir? It'll make you happy.
See, a lot of this.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is happy. All right, let's get into it. Let's just, because this is going south quick. All right, the con, Invasion of the B-Girls. Yeah, those are glass contact lenses, aren't they?
Oh, those are the herdy kinds of.
The scleral.
Those are the ones that made Christopher Lee not want to do Dracula.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, directed by Denis Sanders, written by Nicholas Meyer, a name you might recognize. The cast includes, but is not limited to, William Smith, Anitra Ford, Victoria Vetri, and Cliff Osmond. Is he one of the Osmond brothers? I don't think so. The release date is June 23rd, 1973 in the U.S. It is also known by the wonderful titles Graveyard Tramps. Oh, Chad, we know that title well. Alien Predators and The Honey Factor, known as the Jeff Mohr documentary. Biopic, yes, The Honey Factor. Yeah.
Doc's on fire tonight.
Wow.
And it's...
Yeah, who spiked his punch?
Coldest flames in podcasting history. All right, the synopsis is a powerful cosmic force is turning Earth women into queen bees who kill men by wearing them out sexually.
A powerful cosmic force. Looked like a Commodore 64 computer.
Sounds like my high school years.
In there, right?
Yeah.
So let's turn to our sexual expert, Jeff Mohr, sir. What was your first impression of Invasion of the B-Girls, and when did you first see this wonderful, wonderful film?
When did I first see this? I probably a couple of years ago, and actually the reason I picked this was Bill. It's all Bill's fault.
What? It usually is.
Because when we did Grave of the Vampire and we were talking about William Smith movies, Invasion of the B-Girls came up. And so I sought it out and was, had one of those experiences. So anyway, I thought, hey, we should do this. And it's got that Nicholas Meyer thing. So it's a crazy movie. I don't know what to say other than we watched it. It's a movie. It's got William Smith. it's got an amazing number of respected character actors in it.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Who had done other really good movies at the right around the same time. I always wonder how they got connected, And I wonder what Nicholas Meyer's original title for the script was and what it really was like. Because I can't imagine this being what he actually wrote.
Or maybe it was. Maybe, he's like, oh, why did I ever do that?
No.
Okay.
No.
No. All right, Chad Hunt. When did you first see Invasion of the Bee Girls, and what was your first impression?
I saw this a couple of days ago for the very first time. Never heard of it. Never heard of it at all. Heard of it. Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind when I watched it is, how at the beginning of the podcast you say we cover a classic and then not so classic. This falls definitely into the not so classic category. I had no idea what was going on in this movie or what I was watching. I didn't know if it was a comedy. I didn't know if it was being funny intentionally, but I laughed. I laughed my ass off numerous times during this film. I love William Smith. I love anything he's in. I can watch. That's what made it halfway tolerable.
Yes.
for me. But yeah, I was totally dumbfounded by this film. I guess we'll talk about it, but yeah, I'm dumbfounded. That's my first impression.
That's what we're here for. Yeah, all right.
That's what I was my dumbfounded.
Oh, okay.
That's a good description. Dumbfound us all. Bill Mulligan, sir, the one and only Bill Mulligan.
So if you hear cats in the background, we have a new cat that we're trying to integrate into the household, and we had to brainstorm to bring her up into this room in a thing that keeps her separated from the others. Do that right before the podcast because we're good thinkers like that.
Nice.
So yeah, everything's fine. Okay, so I have tried to watch this movie a few times, and at some point I just quit every time because I'm like, is there any reason for me to watch this? So I had to wait until a couple days ago, and now I had a reason that I had to keep on watching. I think I had seen little bits and pieces of it in some of those videotapes they used to release that was public domain stuff, just little snippets put together. So, okay. So first impression, I mean, to me, this is a softcore sex movie from the 70s with enough science fiction elements in it to give it a reason to hang on the constant flow of boobs and butts. And as such, it's successful. It does what it's meant to do. It has a tiny little plot. It's got some cool character actors. I like William Smith a lot. It's got the actress who would later go on to be in When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth and then go to jail for shooting her husband. And it's got another bit part. I don't even think she's credited, but the actress on the motorcycle, the naked woman with the motorcyclist, is Sharon Kelly, who became later did hardcore porn as Colleen Brennan and was one of the best actual actresses ever to work in adult films. So it's got a really interesting pedigree, and it moves along at a reasonable pace. Maybe I fell asleep, but I don't think I understand what the plot was, what the premise was. Why was she turning these women into B-girls? What was their ultimate goal? What were they trying to do? But as you get older, when you reach my age, you have to appreciate a movie where a bunch of really, really good-looking women have the hots for bald, paunchy, middle-aged men. And except for William Smith, who's a god among men, but with this crew, he's like God among gods. I mean, good Lord, he's the only good-looking guy in the whole film. So my hat's off to William Smith.
So this was a movie I knew about and was familiar with only because I read about it, right? I get my big thick movies about the 70s and there it is, Invasion of the Girls, but I've never ever had the desire to actually watch it. Never did. It's just never like, what's this? I never really knew that it was as Skinamax as it was. But it kind of makes sense that it is, because this is what what's the vampire film, Count Yorga. This is what Count Yorga was wanting to be, and they kind of
okay, yeah,
right. And this one just kind of embraces it and just says, you know what, screw that Yorga guy, we're just gonna do it. And it kind of works in the context of this particular plot and movie, whatever that is, because it's sex that kills. And I mean, there's even the point where the one guy's trying to tell everybody about STDs, and the whole audience that he's talking to, not the audience watching the movie, but the audience he's trying to explain what's happening, are giggling and laughing at him. But it's silly. So I'd never saw it until this past weekend, and it took me a couple times. I actually did fall asleep, Bill. I fell asleep when it actually started getting good, and there's a particular scene we'll talk about with some kind of wax or honey or something get poured over a girl, and the bees show up, and then the next thing I know, it's 20 minutes later in the movie and it's getting ready to end. I'm like, what happened? So I try to watch it again, and off I go. And then this movie challenged my fortitude, that's for sure. But at the same time, there's kind of a stupid charm to this movie. There's this awkward cinematic innocence to it. I mean, it's not an innocent film, right? Because it's about fornication and boobies and butts, but at the same time, it doesn't take it to what we, even in the 80s, what you think of those kind of films, right?
Right.
It doesn't even take it to like Flesh Gordon level. It's not even Skinamax level, but yet it kind of wants to be. It's a weird film, and it's got all it has trouble like really getting you to know the cast, except for the male lead, right? You follow him, and you follow the girl that he's with. You guys are gonna have to help me out. Julie. And then the cop, right? Because this cop is like, oh, I know that guy. I don't know who he is. Don't remember his name, but I remember that face.
Oh yeah.
And he's like the only one that is like a decent human being in this town. Yeah. Because everybody else seems to either work for the sex clinic or doesn't want anything to do with it and just have sex. Right. So this is a bizarre film.
Something. Yeah.
And it definitely has your deaths in it. They find dead bodies. You have this sci-fi kind of weird thing going on with the bees and what that means, and then you have a realization why it's not working, and we'll get into all that later. I don't know. All right, Bill, what happened with this movie? What happened to it?
Well, so you're asking about Nicholas Meyer. He clearly is not proud of this because he tried to have his name taken off. This was his first script, his first sold script. And, if you're a screenwriter and one of your scripts actually gets made into a movie, you don't ever want to take it off. It's got to go pretty wrong for you to, I'd like to forego credit for this, because people don't really care if the movie sucks. If you're the screenwriter, they understand that they bought your screenplay. It was good enough to be bought, and then they just messed with it. So you don't really get the blame. But I imagine it was a very, very different film when he wrote it.
Yes.
We'll
get into him because he's got some credits. If you don't recognize the name, there are some very fascinating credits. But
everyone starts out somewhere. You look at some of John Sayles' early films, but he seemed to have had a little more control. They messed with his a little bit less. But I can see. I am pretty sure this could have been written by a monkey. It's pretty standard stuff. I mean, it's kind of just repetitive. We have a little body gets found, body gets found. It's like 5 minutes. We haven't seen a breast, and this movie's got more boobs than Congress. It's and they're all fine-looking ladies, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I just can't get over how homely the men are. Like seriously, if the four of us had auditioned for this film, they would have said, "Get out of here, you pretty boys. That's not what we're looking for." And wow. But
what's funny is probably all younger than us too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, it
yeah.
was the 70s.
They smoked a lot. Yeah, they smoked and drank, and they look like that. But they're mostly pretty good character actors. The women, as far as acting, a little shakier, but so you get a little bit of everything. This is just such a. I like what you said, Doc, that it's kind of innocent, which is a strange thing to say, but this looks like a bunch of guys at the Rotary Club decided to make a nudie movie, and that's what they called it, a nudie movie, and this is what they came up with.
Yeah.
And it's naughty without really being very dirty.
Right.
I
mean, it isn't dirty. It is kind of naughty, which kind of, I don't know, kind of gives it this weird charm.
Yeah.
It's so as you have guessed, there's lots and lots of nudity and full body nudity
and implied, shenanigans.
Yeah.
That go along with it.
Right. But
that's exactly what they called it, shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's more like it's not particularly erotic. It's more like nudist camp nudity.
Yes.
It's like the people are just standing there nude, and then they pour the whatever that
except
white
one scene.
stuff is over them.
There's one particular scene where they all start boobs out, buns out, and then they start going for it. Like,
I'm having more fun listening to you guys try to describe the nudes.
I wouldn't say it was erotic though.
It wanted to be.
It tried to.
There was at least one scene where they tried to be. The rest of them was just like,
yeah.
Well, they had the music. They had the music down pat for it.
The music's one of the best parts. Yeah,
I expected somebody to scream, "This is a Quinn Martin production." Had the same music as Streets of San Francisco.
Oh, also, we got to say,
and all that.
One of the worst choreographed fight scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
William Smith missed that guy by a good 3 feet, and he still went flying. I guess the force of the air coming off his missed strike was enough to knock this guy off his feet. But woo,
yeah, it's like, but
not impressive.
Exquisite filmmaking.
There is an attempted rape on the hood of a car by 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
chumps,
that was
that's
right. And that was the roughest it got. And you think back then, by the time this movie came out, the few softcore movies that were being made were getting rougher and rougher and everything. And this is kind of a callback to what Doc said. The first movies of this type were basically just, they took a camera to a nudist colony and filmed it. And you got to see ordinary people playing volleyball in the nude. And then you probably never wanted to see a nude body for the rest of your life. It just, but that was the cat's pajamas back then.
Isn't there a 60s like monster movie, like Frankenstein kind of monster?
Oh yeah.
Movie, where
House on Bear Mountain.
Where it's at a nudist colony.
Sure.
And yeah.
Terrible.
Well, they all are, and this one is too. This is a terrible, but I don't know. I was kind of fascinated by it, but and it's thrown together in a way that's kind of incomprehensible because it's just stacked. There's no like through, right?
Yeah, there's no through line. It's all
it's just like
scenes stacked on top of each
other.
other.
It's like this, it starts off with this weird death scene, okay, and then
there's no progression. Like he comes up with the fact that it has to do with bees. Just by literally, William Smith pulls this out of his hindquarters. And then luckily there's a documentary film about bees that we can watch, and it's like, well, that explains it. The hell it explains it. What are you talking about? It explains nothing.
Well, okay, so let's
reminded me of that film we see in the Blood Beast Terror. Jeff.
There you go.
They show that little. Anyway,
yeah, but you got to give him some credit. He didn't just go with the theory. He did set out to prove his theory. He backed it up. He got evidence. He collaborated with another scientist. Well, he's not a
good detective.
Just a detective. But so he did it. He did his work.
He did his due diligence.
Yes, yeah. and came up with something far-fetched. And
everyone takes it seriously. He's like, I think she's hybridizing, female humans with bees. And this is where anyone with even a high school science knowledge would kick you right out of the room. Mm-hmm. That's like making sense. Yeah, I made it a human and an artichoke. Yeah,
if you call due diligence him asking the one scientist, can you cross a man and a horse?
He did do that. And the guy was like, no, could you do it to me? Well, maybe. Oh man, so Yeah, we got to go over some of the posters here and stuff. So let's look.
That's a great poster.
It is a good
There is
70s
nothing wrong with
style
that poster.
Yeah.
You got to
I
admit,
love
it's
the very life out of you.
I will say that looks exactly like another poster that I actually have, The Million Eyes of Sumaru. So I think they may have recycled some of these models and stuff. But
I saw that movie recently.
oh, really? It's not good.
No, I loved it. What are you talking
Oh,
about? No, it's not a good movie. Oh, but I loved it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
It was like so. It's a '60s film, right? It's late '60s.
Yeah.
Right, and it's got we'll get into that some other time. But yeah, so you're absolutely right. There's the scene. Now they make that look like honey.
Oh, the French.
But in the movie it looks like I don't know
what it looks like.
Plaster and wax.
I know what it looked like.
Is it wax?
I think it. Yeah, I'll bet you do. And hey, listen. You got to give the movie credit. You're making a movie where the only reason it exists is to have women with their tops off. They went to the effort of actually making it logical. I mean, if you're going to pour radioactive honey on someone, of course they're going to do it nude. It would be stupid to have your clothes on. You're not going to get the full level of radiation.
Right.
So, it was absolutely necessary to the plot.
Well, and I love when they have the meeting, the guy says, we were looking at that quote, something like, the cause of death is apparently, and I stress the word apparently, overexertion during the act of sexual intercourse.
Yeah, that's the guy that was like explaining all the STDs and stuff.
Yeah, Dr. Exposition there.
Yeah, and he was like so embarrassed too. It was so funny. I don't know.
And the audience is having none of it. And the audience is made up of guys who are too ugly even to be in this film. I mean,
exactly.
But
continuing the.
But they were not going to give up.
Tell me I can't have sexual intercourse. If I want to go home and throw one to the old lady, I can do it or something.
Or my girlfriend, It's like, what?
Or my girlfriend, yeah.
So wait a minute, this guy's got a girlfriend? Why? No. What universe does this take place in?
Yeah, it's a blow-up doll is what it was.
And then he adjourns to the bar and does a little rabble rousing with the rest of the guys. They can't tell us if we can have sex or not. Yeah. They're all.
Yeah. But you know what? Those sex movies from the late '60s and early '70s. This is a traditional thing. Good looking women who probably came from broken homes, and very average looking guys. Very, very average. Like Ron Jeremy would be top of the heap here.
Well, we can look at them, right? So there's three of them.
There we go. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying they're ugly, but they're pretty ordinary. You wouldn't call these leading men for most movies.
And they aren't the leading men. So
no.
But
we'll put that back up, Doc, just for a minute.
They got some pretty honcho stashes there.
They do. 70s, very 70s men.
These guys just hit me that they have people that came from like well-known genre films. So Wright King, who did the apparently overexertion line, played Dr. Galen in Planet of the Apes, the veterinarian in the
nice
in the zoo. Cliff Osmond. So what Batman is that from?
I can't remember the episode, but yeah, he was one of the henchmen.
I think it's Siren with Joan Collins. Is that?
Oh wow,
maybe.
And then the bottom guy, Cliff Emmett, plays the coroner in this one, and he was the hospital security guard in Halloween 2.
Yeah, he definitely looks like a Cliff. He looks like.
And
he does look.
He looks like he walks into a bar every day where everybody
that's what, you got ahead of me on that one.
Well, and I left one out that I kept thinking I recognized him. I couldn't think where. Jack Perkins, who was the guy that said the line about, "You can't tell me if I can have sexual intercourse." And he was he the union steward or something? I think too. They said, but he was in Batman. He played a henchman in 3 different episodes of the Joker. But he was also in like the year after this, he was in the a Killer Bees TV movie, and I'm like thinking, he's probably on the set going, "Oh, you should have seen the Bee movie I did last year." Nightmare Honeymoon. Have you guys seen that?
Nightmare Honeymoon. No.
I might have to do that. It's a sadistic, low-budget thriller
Like it
That
already.
was originally directed by Nicholas Roeg, but he left after 5 days.
Wait, say that name again.
Wow.
Say that
Wow.
name again.
Nicholas Roeg,
Oh, okay.
R-O-E-G.
Don't look now. I mean, wow,
Yeah,
that doesn't
yeah,
sound like
yeah.
the kind of movie he'd be on. I don't blame him for leaving.
That's why he left. He said, "This ain't a movie I'll be on." You lied to me.
So anyway, that's my character actor spiel for this one.
The director, Denis Sanders, did a lot of TV. Defenders, Route 66, Mannix.
He was a documentary filmmaker and actually won a few Academy Awards early on. So he started at the top and ended up doing this.
Yeah, he did. And then he did do an Elvis documentary too in 1970. That's the way it is.
Elvis. That was a big hit.
Yeah, and then in 1982 he said computers, the friendly invasion. So hey, there you go. He knew what was computers are people too. Is another documentary he did. Imagine that. But so. So I don't know where to take that. It's just it's not necessarily a career that has a lot of genre.
It's not the best trajectory.
Yeah. But we got to talk about Nicholas Meyer because this guy did some stuff.
Did some good stuff.
He did some stuff. Writer and director. His first film was Time After Time, which
Excellent
is
film.
One of my favorite films from that year. That I love that film with the H.G. Wells and
such a
Jack the Ripper.
goofball premise. When I heard the premise, I'm like, okay,
Wait a
that
minute.
sounds pretty dumb.
7% solution.
Oh yeah, he did that as well. Yeah.
He didn't direct it though.
Oh no,
He wrote it.
I figured.
So this was his directorial debut. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he directed Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, arguably the best Star Trek movie out there.
My favorite episode and movie of Star Trek.
Yes.
You
He
can
also
argue. You can argue that, but you'd be wrong unless you agree it is by far the best Star Trek movie ever.
And he also did part 4 Undiscovered Country, so
Which is not bad.
You got to win, you got to lose. But he also did The Day After. Now, is this The Day After I'm thinking of?
The nuclear bomb movie, yeah.
It is The Day After I'm thinking of. Now that was huge. That was a
must-see
It's like
TV.
a
That
documentary
absolutely
almost.
was.
Yeah.
Steve Gutenberg, Jason Robards, Joe Beth Williams, a whole bunch of other people. This guy's got some creds, and of course he started out writing this.
These were the big girls.
Yep.
Apparently, he did a pilot for Time After Time about 5 years ago. But
Really?
That's it.
I'm upset that didn't make it through.
Yeah.
I just love that concept. I really do love that movie.
It really worked, and they couldn't have picked better actors for every role.
But I don't think I realized until today that he did Time After Time and Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And Star Trek 2, you got to give. I mean, Star Trek 1, I think in many ways is an underrated film, but it wasn't the monster hit that everybody wanted, and it wasn't. There's a question on whether they would have kept on making Star Trek films if Star Trek 2 had just not knocked it out of the park and just got everything going. And so that's one of those sequels that really improved on the original, I think.
Yeah.
That's what the
Well,
aliens
if
of
I
the
recall back then, the first Star Trek wasn't very well received.
It was
They
It made a lot of money.
It was
Well, it
divisive.
was kind of blah.
Yeah, it was kind of boring for a start, but then Wrath of Khan came out and just boom, it just took off.
I mean, Star Trek was a troubled production from the get-go. And so it did well enough. If it hadn't done well, they would have just stopped making movies. They had to be dragged kicking and screaming to make this money-making franchise. But it did well enough that they did a sequel. They just went in a very different direction with the sequel, and it was obviously the way to go.
Yeah, the direction they went in the sequel is what people wanted out of the first one.
Right.
I mean, because they got the Enterprise, and the Enterprise looked great, and in the cast, but then there was nothing to go along with it.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to boo us in history.
Oh yeah, Star
That's
Trek
okay.
1 was the greatest.
Well,
of all the
I'd
Star
say part of that is just for me. I don't even remember what Star Trek the first movie was about.
V'ger.
Or I remember. Well, I
Remember the
remember
ball
Wrath
girl.
of Khan very well.
Oh, yeah.
I
Right.
can't forget Wrath of Khan. Oh my God. Khan, the ear. Oh my God. Okay. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's. a lot to talk with that guy, right? So let's talk about the cast. Let's start off with William Smith, though, just because we've mentioned his name quite a bit here, and he
stuck up three of my favorite William Smith movies there.
What are they? Tell us.
Grave of the Vampire on top, one that we did.
Yes.
Sorry, spoiler alert. That's the last shot in the film. And middle one, he played Conan's father in Conan.
Yeah.
It's not a big role.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. He did.
But it's a good role. And you know what? You got Conan. Conan is so imposing and everything. It's like his dad had better have something, on the ball hit. His dad's not going to be played by Arnold Stang or anything. So they got William Smith and a small but good role. And then at the bottom, he's one of the bad guys in Red Dawn.
The
From
Russian.
83?
Yeah.
84, 83, 84. Oh my God, I did not realize that. He died last July.
Yeah.
But he did 276 roles.
Yeah.
Most of them playing. He was in every biker movie, every good biker movie ever made. He fought Clint Eastwood in Every Which Way You Can, I think it was.
Was it Any Which Way You Can or Every Which Way?
Something with
Any Which Way You Can. He did the
Any Which Way You Can. Yeah, that was great.
I don't know which one it was, but
we said this before, but I'm sorry. His first role was as a village boy in The Ghost of Frankenstein.
That's right. He was in The Ghost of Frankenstein. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God, look at that. He's uncredited, but yeah, holy crap.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I would have retired just on that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I remember him from is a Western show in the early 60s called Laredo, or mid 60s, I guess. And I don't know. I thought it was apparently it was only on a couple of years, but it was one of those shows that played over and over and over in syndication. They were Texas Rangers, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, was he a great actor?
That the one with Neville? Isn't that the one with Neville Brand?
And he was in Chad. He was in Batman.
What did he play?
Adonis in the Minerva Mayhem and Millionaire.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Wow. Because he was like a bodybuilder. He was, well put together. I don't think he was the greatest actor, but he had a presence, and he was good in everything. I actually thought he was really good in Conan. That small role there really left an impression.
It was very memorable. Yeah,
and I thought he was really good.
Right.
I thought he was good in Red Dawn.
They had to really get somebody that you could see as Conan's father.
Right.
It worked.
It worked great. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Oh man, where was I? Lost it. There, he did. He played the Frankenstein monster on Fantasy Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He played in 1981. He played the Frankenstein monster, and then he played Wyatt Earp. A couple of years earlier on Fantasy Island.
He was in.
Okay.
I know I brought this up some other time, but he was in CC and Company. I think Bill has seen it anyway.
Yeah.
The one with Joe Namath and Anne Margaret. Yeah, he was. I think he might have been the biker gang leader.
Yeah.
But anyway,
not much of a stretch.
He was in Maniac Cop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I know we've done this already, and I've already forgotten.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Yeah, he was like the chief of police or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he had a bald head. I think in that one, didn't he? Was his head shaved in that?
You could tell me that, and I believe it.
Okay.
All right, let's go over some of the other cast members. We have Victoria Vetri, who is the female lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said she was in Dinosaurs Rule the Earth?
Well, she was in Rosemary's Baby, a small role in Rosemary's Baby. That's the middle shot there. And she's the lead in When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth, where she plays a cave woman who looked just like actual cave women did. Science has pretty much proven this. They all look like Raquel Welch and Victoria here in little fur bikinis. And as they would, they had to avoid dinosaurs. I love When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. It's not a good movie.
In 1970, we can do it.
Oh, good. Well, good luck ever finding it playing. Ever. It's one of those movies that it's like a holy grail. They never play this movie. It's some of the best stop motion that's ever been done. It's not Ray Harryhausen. It's Jim Danforth. Maybe the smoothest animation that was ever put on screen. It's actually fascinating to watch it, and they were both geniuses. the difference between Danforth's approach and Harryhausen's approach. And I prefer Harryhausen for different reasons, but I think Danforth's animation is unparalleled. He did all kinds of tricks to smooth it out and get rid of some of that flickering. An amazing craftsman, and that movie just has some gorgeous stuff. Apparently, she was a real pain in the ass to work with, though.
Oh yeah, I could
The
see
guy
that
the guy who directed the movie, and then she kind of
Val Guest, right?
she kind of stopped doing movies because she shot her husband in the chest trying to kill him, and she got 9 years in jail. So.
9 years.
I hear she's out now, and I hope she's turned her life around, and I would be happy to see her at a convention and stuff. But
just don't give her a gun.
Certainly be nice to her if I ever met her.
Jeff, Chad, there's a Batman connection with her too.
Oh, really?
Oh, my goodness.
She was in Florence of Arabia, or she was Florence of Arabia, and I'll Be a Mummy's Uncle.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So that had to be with, who was it?
Victor Bueno.
Yeah, King Tut, yeah.
Yeah, he played King Tut, so it had to be the King Tut episodes, right?
They made more King Tut episodes than I think anything else.
He was like on there every week.
This movie is like a reunion of Batman.
It is.
It seems that way. Yeah. Then we have Anitra Ford.
Oh.
Right? What happened?
No, she was in Rosemary's Baby too.
Oh, she was as well.
Anitra.
The other one, Victoria.
Yeah. That was the middle picture.
Another Batman connection is that's the Bat computer right behind her.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is it really? Get out of here!
It's not really. It really looks like.
Oh my God! You had me going. You bugger.
Now I'm guessing this one was a model. Because you look, here's 3 pictures, I think, from the movie, and yeah, I'm bad with faces, but this could be 3 different women as far as I'm concerned. She's got that ability to really change her looks just with a little bit of a subtle holding, the way she holds her head, the way she holds her body. I mean, I think I'm surprised she did so few films. I thought she had a real presence here.
She was a Messiah of Evil.
Yeah, that's right. She was. Well, you can't win them all.
She was in The Longest Yard. That's a fun movie.
Boy, I don't remember any women in The Longest Yard, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. And then her last role was in 1977. She's still alive, but she hasn't done anything since 1977. Starsky and Hutch, Swatch, these Beretta, Streets of San Francisco. This all sounds familiar, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even Wonder Woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I could see her taking on Linda
Banachek. Oh, my God, Banachek.
Banachek.
Yeah. Holy cow, Banachek. That's going back.
Love American Style. You remember that?
Yeah, everybody was on that.
Columbo.
Yeah, that was the Love Boat of its time.
The Odd Couple. Felix is Missing. She was in the Felix is Missing episode. I love that. Just by the title, Felix is Missing.
I liked her in this. She was a cool presence and everything. We never really got a good explanation of what her deal was, but okay.
But she had a plan, and she had the money and the
technology.
Guess. But was it her plan, or was it the other doctor's plan who mysteriously disappeared? Because didn't he go off to a conference? Was never seen again, or did he?
I figured he was one of her first victims, is what I figured.
You had to be, right? So, but she took over and started making a whole bunch of others like her.
Making bee peoples,
and here are some of them.
There they are, the bee girls.
They all have the little things on there. Look at the low cut. Oh,
yeah. This
guy back behind him going,
"Dear Penthouse, I guess it was my lucky day."
Who says funerals can't be fun? But yeah, because that's when I woke up, is when his wife was like, "Can you help me with my bra?" And I was like, "What happened? What happened? There was bees. Now there's a bra." And that was the wife right there at the bottom, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh man, Bill, tell us about those contacts again.
Oh, I mean these contacts,
what they were and stuff.
They were made out of glass, which is a hard material that doesn't have any give, as opposed to the contacts today. Kids today with their soft contacts that you can wear overnight. In my day, contacts are made out of hard little shards of glass, and just like glass, they could cut you. And if you slept in them, they'd roll up into the top of your head and have to be surgically removed. And if you drank too much, your eyes would like lose all their fluid, and they would fuse to your corneas. They were awful. That's why I've never had.
If it cut your eyeball, it was good enough for you.
Oh yeah. They were the worst. Well, these things are even worse because at least those old ones just covered the important part of your eye, but these have to cover the whole thing. So I can only imagine what it feels like going in and going out and wearing. You can only wear them for short periods of time. They're awful.
This is the
but they are cool looking.
Had the little sucker stick that would and pop them off, right?
Really?
Didn't they?
Oh, that sounds familiar, but I've never had them. I couldn't even bear the thought. I couldn't even watch people put contacts in. I got a thing about eyes. Like the way Chad is with hands, I'm kind of that way with eyes, except unlike Chad, who's like, I don't want to watch this movie. Someone gets their hand cut off. I'm like, Lucio Fulci, let's see what he does this time with some eyes. Yeah. So, but they're no fun. They are no fun. And there's no reason why they should see that way because they don't have compound eyes. They just have big black eyes. But okay, let's go with it. It's a nice.
Well, use your imagination. We don't know.
Sure.
Right? So, but
poetic license.
Yeah, there you go. And then
there's not a reason for a lot of things.
Why did she pull her face off at the end of the movie? I don't know.
It was bothering her apparently.
That didn't make any sense. Crazy. I'm thinking that stuff that they put on them might have been marshmallow fluff because they had to have something that the bees would want to go to.
It was the stuff.
It looked like it was like the stuff you would put on people to get like a plaster cast or something, But because
maybe it was a kind of alginate. I don't know how they got the bees to go to it then.
Who knows? But then later there was like it looked more like a opaque condom over. So they ripped it, and she was like,
"Yeah, oh, look at me!" And her hair was perfect, and
of course,
yeah.
Of course. But it had all, and they actually grouped this in with the other B movies, and I'm like, okay, there is a scene with bees, and we hear some buzzing.
Yes,
but is it really does it go with like the bees, and does it go with the swarm, and does it go with because in the 70s, from late 60 like 7 up through like 79, we got like
killer bee movies.
All these killer bee movies because everybody's afraid of the African killer bee, honey.
Who never came, by the way.
No,
we're still waiting for them. Just like the murder hornets.
Well, we did get some murder hornets on the West Coast. So.
Yeah.
Damn, big guys about this. But anyway, so I don't know. I don't know if you group this in there. I don't know where you put this.
I wouldn't. I mean, no. Just it has very little to do with bees. It's mostly girls.
Yeah.
But the killer bees, savage bees, the swarm, and Terror Out of the Sky. Terror Out of the Sky is actually a sequel to the Savage Bees. Is that true?
Well, if you ever saw the Savage Bees, you too would be clamoring for a sequel, and Hollywood heard your cries. So, shh.
But I remember watching it. Bees there was a big thing in the 70s.
Yeah,
they were the bees.
People were scared of bees. Yeah.
Yep.
It was like a couple of years there. They were going, the bees are coming. The killer bees are coming. So then Hollywood started pumping out all these
bee
swarm movies.
I guess we can all relate because we've all been stung by a bee, and it's no fun. It's not the biggest thing. The most dangerous thing about bees is, you're driving in your car at 70 miles an hour, and all of a sudden there's a bee in your car, and somehow you lose your damn mind and forget that the worst that could happen is the bee stings you, and you get a little tiny bee sting. And that's the worst that could happen. But unless you overreact and start doing this while you're driving and go straight into a pylon, So.
Unless you're allergic, but yeah.
I actually saw.
Everyone's allergic to car crashes, though.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I saw when I was a kid, there was a bee, one of those underground beehives, like in a tree.
Oh, that was probably hornets.
And there was a hole. Yeah. And I stuck a plastic wiffle ball bat in the hole.
Smooth move.
They didn't like that.
No, I bet they did.
So they went crazy swarming around that. And the guy whose house it was, I didn't do it at my house. He ran out to get that bat out of there, and holy crap, he got stung big time.
I bet he loved you for that.
I was gonna say you're his favorite guy.
I was horrified.
We went to an aunt's house. She had a big backyard with a hill, and because we were kids back in the 60s, we were rolling down the hill, Yes,
Of course,
this is what we
that's what
did
you
for
do.
entertainment back then. Okay,
And it
Leave me
was
alone.
fun.
It was fun. We rolled down the hill. My sister Lisa rolled over one of those hills. It was probably like a gopher hole that the bees went in, killed the gopher family, and took over the hole. And and they were all in her hair, and she's running, and her hair was just swarming with bees. And I'll never forget my uncle.
Oh my God!
He went out there with a can of gasoline and poured it down the hole and lit it on fire. And they stung him too, but he won. He definitely came out ahead in that deal.
He won.
Yeah. One bee is alarming. A swarm of bees is frightening as all get out. And
yes.
Oh my God! And when you hear them, just hearing them, there's something frightening about just the buzz and the wings. And Chad's over there going, "I'm not listening to any of this." He's on mute. He's so bad he's on mute. He's like,
I was just saying it's that little part of our brain from caveman days where we just
Right.
Absolutely.
That
my
fear.
first last story. We had a swing set in my backyard.
Okay.
And part of it was one of those gliders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Two-seater.
Oh yeah.
I'm on the glider.
Hours of fun.
Wasp built a nest in the little bracket on top that held the two poles. And it was my first experience with 3D movie type. Because I literally saw this wasp flying straight towards me like in a 3D movie, and boom, it stung me right above the eye.
Oh no.
And it was I was a hurting unit. But anyway, it was the 3D effect that really got me. Then later on, when I saw 3D movies, I'm like,
why did they make a 3D bee movie? I guess they couldn't. It wouldn't have been hard to do.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine a bunch of bees?
Somebody really throwing bees at people in the office.
Tell them you made a 3D bee movie, but actually in the middle of the movie, just let loose a bunch of bees.
Yeah, just
Bees!
let them go.
Oh my God!
Wow, it's so real. It's like they're right in front of me.
Oh, poop my pants.
So you know that this is actually available on Blu-ray from Scream Factory.
Yeah, even though it's public domain, right? Even though it's
Jeff's is on its way.
Yep.
Catch every nuance.
I ordered it when Bill brought it up the first time.
See, I knew it. Speaking of car crashes and people are allergic to car crashes. Can we talk about the guy that got ran over?
Oh my God!
Whoa!
Was that not the most brutal?
Yeah.
Oh, and then he's laying there on the back. He's all twisted. Yeah. He's all twisted up on the ground. And I thought for sure William Smith was just going to run over him again as he was chasing.
Nah.
That would have been fun.
Okay, for this movie, it was actually pretty well done. I mean, it was obviously a dummy, but it was filmed really well. And a little because he got hit, ran into the he's in between that and a truck first, right?
Yeah.
And then got ran over, and that worked out really well too. And they edited. I actually thought they edited that really well. Because they gave you the impact without showing the impact, just by the way they edited it. And that was pretty clever, for this kind of film. This film isn't horror much at all. There's one heavy high sci-fi film, and there's death. I guess that's the horror, right? But it's more horrible.
Yeah.
You die during overexertion. And they even go with the line that I grew up remembering, and I wonder if it came from this movie. It's like if you came and went at the same time.
Yeah.
Dun,
dun, dun, dun.
All right, so we have some feedback tonight, so let's go ahead and wrap this one up and jump into the feedback. We need to know the recommendation and just give us a scene that struck you as particularly interesting in some fashion. Chad, did I have you go? No, Bill, Jeff, I had you go first. I just did everybody's name. Jeff, you are first, sir.
And we're doing, well, okay.
Yes.
Is it kind of a, what? I think it's a horror film. I mean,
sure.
I love these guys. The one guy, Herb Klein, that was the one I really liked, where he was really just kind of cheesy and didn't have any problem whatsoever lying to his wife in front of this guy he doesn't even know.
I know.
And then goes off with the the queen bee, and I don't know. He's just like, wow, this is happening to me. Apparently, anyway.
There was some kind of line he said as he's going out the door too. I can't remember. It was like,
don't wait up. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He was, and he's another one of those guys he's instantly recognizable, but you don't know where it's from.
mm-hmm.
Right.
I know I've seen him in other stuff. So yeah, if you're a William Smith fan, watch this. If you, if you like softcore, it's not really softcore porno, although there's a lot of nudity. And if you want to see the class reunion of all the people that were in the Batman, maybe you can find some more Batman connections for us.
You probably could.
and other horror movies. But yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I like William Smith. I just think it's funnier than hell to look at these actors and then look at what else they were doing around that time,
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like Invasion of the Bee Girls and then Barnaby Jones.
Yes.
Something like that,
Work is work.
It's crazy.
Right. Hey.
Yeah. So was there something else you wanted, Doc?
Did you grab a scene that stuck out?
Well, you guys, I won't say the one you guys talked about because that'd be too easy. Got to go with the. I like the two scenes of the one couple where, first off, it's kind of like, we don't have to worry about that here or something, when they're talking about banning sexual intercourse, and then later, after his wife is converted and she comes back at him. I thought that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He is a little, I don't know. Yeah. Bill, sir, what is your recommendation and scene that stood out?
It's certainly not one of the best movies that we've done, but it's very low budget and a different kind of thing. I mean, yeah, you go into it expecting that it's really more about nudity than horror or science fiction, and you'll have a good time. My favorite scene would have to be the nude motorcycle stuff with Sharon Kelly, just because I've always liked Sharon Kelly, and partly because of an interview she did once with talking about her career before she went into adult films, making the low budget stuff and everything. And they were like, so your first movie, what kind of direction did you get? And she described the direction. I think this is great direction. The director said, okay, you've never been on a movie before. That's the camera and that's the microphone. Don't look at the camera. Let's go. And that was it. That was all the direction she got. And you know what? There's still people that need to have that kind of, that need that.
Don't look at the camera.
Don't look at the camera. You can look anywhere you want. Don't look at the camera. And remember, if you're talking, the microphone's over there, so you might as well kind of favor it. Yeah. So, so I mean, I had a good time watching it. I don't know if it bears up to multiple repeat viewing,
Bears.
Bears.
It's funny. The scene you mentioned is that they end up like rolling down the hill, since you mentioned rolling.
Luckily, they didn't go over a hornet nest because she wasn't wearing a stitch of clothes, and that would have been.
Neither was he by then.
I guess I wasn't really looking at him, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
Because they were. He was already naked when she pulled up, and then they rolled down the hill. And by the time they rolled down to the bottom of the hill, he was dead, and she got up and walked away.
Well,
awesome.
What a way to go!
Yep. Chad, sir, what is your recommendation and the scene that stood out?
It was worth watching to me because of William Smith. I just watching him be cool as hell and amidst a sea of ugliness. The other men. It was just cool watching him. I could watch him in anything. But yeah, it's as an oddity, as a curiosity, I would say I would have to recommend it because it's just an odd film. And and if you like boobies, yeah.
If you like boobies, who doesn't like boobies?
But yeah, my favorite scene was the town hall thing.
Oh yeah,
that was so hilarious.
Yeah.
That was so damn funny. That's what kept making me think, is this supposed to be a comedy? Because I was laughing my head off at that.
They were playing that one for less, for certain. Okay, so I was a little surprised by this movie because there is an element of just goofy, stupid fun to it because it's ridiculous. The whole premise, the whole contrivance of it, it's just silly and ridiculous. And it has scenes like Chad was saying that kind of elevated for that. Let's see if I can get in focus here. And I don't know. It's not a good movie. It's put together really poorly. It's shot well enough. It's in focus more so than I am at the moment. And I don't know. I think for people like us who really love 70s films and want to know and re-explore all the 70s films, there's no reason not to put this on your list and check it out. But if you aren't, there's no reason to put it on your list. Because there's nothing really here, unless you're a William Smith fan. Now, if you're a William Smith fan like us,
essential viewing,
you really got to watch this one. He's actually really wonderful in it.
Hey, Doc, I wanted to mention one thing. You say it looks well enough. One of the things expectations I kind of had going into this is that it was badly shot, because I'd seen a number of reviews that said that. Well, this is the thing. When a movie's in the public domain, anyone can market it, can sell a copy. And probably a lot of the copies that are out there are garbage.
Yeah.
I know a lot of them are censored. So the people who have watched this movie might be like, these guys are easily amused. There were no boobs in this movie at all. Trust me. Wall-to-wall boobs if you see the regular R-rated version. The one that's on Tubi seems to be a pretty good copy.
It is.
Looks good.
I watched it on Prime, and it was pristine. It was.
Maybe it was Prime. I saw it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they probably have it from the Screen Factory.
Blu-ray,
yeah.
So, and it feels like they put some time and effort behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah. The public domain one is one that you probably were expecting with all the scratches and the weird cuts and stuff. Yeah.
It's like the first time I saw the renovated version of Night of the Living Dead, it was a revelation.
No, but
I'd always assumed the movie looked like trash on purpose, and no, it was actually really well shot.
In case you're tempted to buy the Blu-ray, there's no extras on it. No behind the scenes.
Oh, Nicholas Meyer didn't want to talk about his great time making this movie.
What a shock!
The bum.
What a surprise, right?
So I'm going to go with the big finale scene in the laboratory with all the computers and all the and all, and the heroine is getting ready to she's naked now and bent over something. And they had her like over this
smoke. Yeah. It was like a tubular geodesic dome.
Yeah. And it was placed there to cover her, the bottom goods.
Yeah. I do like the fact that the bees don't like smoke. The bee girls don't like smoke because bees don't like smoke. So
right.
Science.
And then William Smith comes in, Neil Agar, and saves the day, and then everything blows up. And it just, I don't know, it was just kind of so stupid, and it just felt so stupid and fun. But anyway, so there you go. That's our review.
Well, there was one shot too that I thought was great when they were like finding all the bodies. There was that part where it was like multiplying. They got the one guy laying dead nude in the laboratory, and the picture
and
of
it looked like his eyeballs were painted on his.
And there's some glassware perfectly positioned.
Perfectly
in the line of sight. So
yep. Yeah, they did take some time not to be too exploitive. And then there's like the young couple that come into the one place, and she puts it, oh, you're already there, and he comes walking around the corner, it's a dead body next door instead. And Bill's like, did I fall asleep during that? All right, let's get into some feedback. But before we do, of course, if you see this film, we'd love to hear your comments down below. How wrong are we on this one? All right, Jeff.
Especially if you find more Batman connections.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. These are some older ones, actually. We've got some people checking out some of the older episodes.
Nice.
Episode 148, The Blood on Satan's Claw, from Mike Zatz, our good buddy. The plot is like those ads from the 70s. Do you want to build a better Satan? Of course, we all do. As the Purdue ads used to deride Parts as Parts, it's the chicken company, I think. The satanic being just looked goofy. He looks like a bacon-covered baked potato that was left too long in the microwave. The rape scene, unsettling, is one of those most talked about early 70s moments. Put the film up there with The Wicker Man and Witchfinder General as great folk horrors. Unibrows rule.
Yeah, they do.
If they're on her, sure.
All right. We have a couple from about episode 140, The Haunting of Julia.
Oh, wow.
Which I think we did about a year ago. From Andrew Garrett. I love this movie. It isn't perfect, but it does some things very well. The atmosphere, score, and acting are all top-notch. The sense of dread and sadness is palpable. It looks like it suffers from some trimming and leaves out or does not develop well some important details from the original story, but I still prefer it to Peter Straub's source novel. Perhaps this is because I encountered the film version first at the age of 11 or so, when I caught it late one night on HBO or Cinemax during a sleepover where everyone but me had fallen asleep. This is somebody you know, Chad. The score rivals
maybe
some of the very best horror film scores. The ending is extremely downbeat but bloody. Not perfect, but still great. I agree with that. And it is, it's not my favorite Straub novel. Straub's novel is very, it's like a gothic horror written in modern day almost. It's very, I don't know, atmospheric. And anyway. And then again, from Mike Zatz. Read the book by Peter Straub way back when, late 70s, I think, and thought it was okay. Some of the same themes covered in Don't Look Now, but were done a lot better in that. Great to see Daphne partake in the 70s podcast. Daph, remember when you had that hairstyle? I like your current coif better. Grue Crew, keep rocking the decades.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
What I want to know is what he thinks of my hair.
It's awesome, sir.
Your hair, singular. Yeah.
It's angelic.
It is. Like a baby's butt.
Like a baby.
The Emperor's new hairstyle.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man. Well, we have our next episode lined up, and Bill Mulligan, you picked us, so why don't you tell us what it is?
It is the last of the original series of one of the greatest series ever, Terror of Mechagodzilla. This was, the Godzilla movies, I don't know what they're up to at this point, 20, 30, 40, I don't know, but they're usually packed into certain segments, eras, and this was the end of the original one. And to me, it's kind of
Showa or Showa?
Is it Showa? I don't know. To me, this is a return to greatness. It's the original director, Honda. It's got a great score. It's got a couple of cool monsters, Mechagodzilla, and it didn't make any money. So there wasn't another Godzilla movie for some time, but I think it's an underrated gem. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
It was 10 years.
Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla about a year ago. A little over a year ago. So
now
I like this one a lot better.
So is the difference between the two is the target audience, because Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla is far more kiddie oriented, and this one was more adult, and I think that was the problem. By this point in Japan, Godzilla had become pretty much just a kiddie thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was more like a superhero. Yeah.
Which it never really was with American audiences. We've always kind of liked the monstrous thing, but Godzilla in Japan, it is interesting that Godzilla is very different. The Japanese perception of it is very different from the American perception, but it's crazy. But I really like this one, and it's a bit more adult. It's a bit more adult than a lot of the Godzilla movies, and certainly way more than, say, Smog Monster or the first Mechagodzilla movies, or Gigan, or God help us, Megalon. Yeah, okay, Jerry, get ready to write that letter. If I slag Megalon more than once or at all, I'm going to hear from Jerry. It's the best ever. But This is
still
one of
like
my
King
favorites.
Caesar. King Caesar and Jet
Yeah,
Jaguar.
you can keep them.
Yeah, but the
Jaguar.
movie's
Oh my god.
it's so
You
funny.
two should be best
Oh.
friends. Yeah.
I don't like the movie. The character is just like, wow, that's fun. But yeah, but it
Jet
was
Jaguar.
like you said, it was nearly a decade before we get Return
Yeah.
of Godzilla or Godzilla '84. It was in the space.
Yeah.
So. All right, so yeah, I'm looking forward to actually revisiting Godzilla. I guess there's still a couple more we can do, right? Or have we done all the '70s ones? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But thank you for that choice, Bill.
Yeah,
Yeah, welcome.
it's gonna be a good one.
It is. All right, guys. Thank you for a little TNA this week. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
whatever helps you get through the night. Glad to help.
Jeff's perv streak is
Yeah.
never ending here. So
Yeah, I just can't wait to see what's next. All right, Bill, Chad, Jeff, as always, thank you for joining me.
thank you.
Thanks for having me,
Thank
guys.
you.
Jeff, you've totally messed up everything I want to do. All right, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Maybe
Maybe.
we'll see.
We're out of here. Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.